Okay, folks, let's get right to it. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a crash stream, I guess. Let's see how it goes. Markets have done a little reversal. We're up a couple hundred. Now they're down a couple hundred. And probably the big stuff we got to talk about is Bitcoin. What can we expect from here? Also, the rest of them. You know, the other bigger markets we talked about on Tuesday, especially following what happened last week. So, settle on in. What's going on, chat? Guys, we're here Tuesday, Thursday, so hit the subscribe and like. Let's get that out of the way. Also, get the 2-week trial. New people. And, welcome new folks. We're getting a handful of new folks every week. Welcome, everybody. The best thing to do is send your TradingView username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. Get set up with the software, which is this software right here, Harmonic Pattern Collection for TradingView, and then dive in over at Harmonic Trader Basic Members, review that material. All free. Okay, start here for 2 weeks and then dive into the levels that we will talk about today. The big stuff. I think the incredible thing, we got to talk about gold right off the bat. 4,300, guys. Now, this is insane. We're getting to a breaking point, frankly, and we have to watch it. All right, it's 15 off the high already, but that's huge news. 4,300. Absolutely huge. What's going on? Great to see everybody. Come on in. Let's get settled in. Yep, hold on. Just kind of setting up myself. If there's a couple markets you guys want to look at really quick, We'll dive in fast because I think what we need to get into is this relationship on what's happening with gold and what's happening with Bitcoin. Traditional markets also, Nasdaq, everything else. Nasdaq again, it's down 200, 300, but we're at all-time highs, guys. So we're going to have volatility. Now down 125 on Nasdaq. Let's see what happens there. But it's gold is so pressing that we have to kind of just update because it's been quick. Remember 3350, how critical that was? And then once we went above 3350 in that breakout, well, it was even faster. It took weeks when I thought it would take months. We were talking 4100, 4150, we're 43, 4285 now. This is the first level on the extreme target, by the way, just so you guys know. It's kind of like this. We are looking for the extreme expansion 2618 to 3618. So that 2618 level is right there. Yeah, 4100. 41, yeah, 4100, 41, what's that? 4150-ish. So that's your first objective. Now 43. We should expect something, some kind of reaction. We have gone so far within kind of that harmonic expansion scale. Remember, 1618 was like 2700. Now, we only have a couple numbers left. 2618, 314, 3618 is like 5K. And I think everybody's looking for 5K. 5K is a measured level. It is the definition of an extreme parabolic move. So you take a look at the correction from financial crisis post move 2011 down to 16. Well, you have done that full recovery. Now blown out 1618 and then go to 3618 levels. It's a lot like Bitcoin. It's kind of now doing what I think what everyone thought Bitcoin would be doing at this point. So we're getting there, okay? And again, I want to be in front of this. Our targets have been hit, okay? Our targets have definitely been hit. And I'm going to kind of step aside from here. I would not have much of an opinion other than to speculate straight up to 5,000 in some kind of crazy move if there is some kind of event. And you have to ask yourself at this point, is something else going on? That's the only question, guys, is that with gold doing this kind of a move, there's reasons why gold's doing this kind of move. This is unprecedented, up 60 plus % for the year. And then over the last 3 years, it's a top asset class. So I'm looking for a pause up here. Not necessarily capitulation expansion because we know what that is. It's the 3618 off of there, but even the all-time, which was the all-time low preceding this cycle, is you have to go back to 1980. That's how far back. That's the kind of creature gold is. And then you do the same spread where all-time 1618 was around 3K for us. What's possible on the all-time cycle? Because you're looking something like that where it's similar 2618-ish extreme targets off of that 1980 to 2000 low. That's the mega cycle thing. So you're there at some first levels, but again, if this goes nuts, and we'll know pretty soon if it's going to do it now or maybe in 2 months because we're entering the seasonal bullish time. you're looking at like a 5K, 5,500, 3618 expansion. So that's going on, whatever that phenomenon is. I mean, I would think Bitcoin should participate alongside that. And Bitcoin, what's it doing up here? 108. What happened to 111? Like, should we be concerned about Bitcoin not following through? I have a couple of weekly overbought signals up here. Okay. I thought about 2 weeks ago that was going to get blown out. I thought we had a brief pause and then we would blow it out because really the trigger was back here in the summer. But now I'm going to have to look at this and say, all right, maybe this is going to take more time because we're not going where we should be going. And if anything, here on the weekly chart, all right, I'm closely watching what happens this week on that weekly close. You guys know I've been looking at 111 the whole time. I mean, 111 as over the last 4 months, ever since we've decided to go above 111, I've been looking at that 124, 125 mark and 111 as kind of where is the takeoff point. Basically, this box, that box is where we should be breaking through into price discovery and then accelerating. What's the problem here? I think it's time. I think it's flat out time in terms of even on a daily chart. Okay, you break out. I can at least give this thing 30 days. I could give this 60 days, something like that. I mean, there should be some concrete continuation. We're now day 100, pretty much. Yeah, 98, 100 since that breakout. And I'm not saying it's massive top. I'm concerned, whatever. But I think kind of the longer this takes, the more time it's going to take. Like, we're not ready to we're not ready to do the rock and roll. And we could still be uber bullish and be sideways within this range if it's 108, 111 to 120 or even a touch lower. 106 was the last time. There are some things here. We're certainly oversold in the short term, and we talked about this last week or on Tuesday earlier this week of needing to check this back and that back. Basically test 109, I said generally 111, 109. You have a couple of things here, but okay, now you're at the lows since July, and what happened to the cycle? Anybody find the cycle? Anybody see the cycle recently? So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Bitcoin. I'm also looking at. Oh, hold on. There we go. Let's look at gold BTC. That's part of the problem. GC BTC. No, that wasn't it. Hold on. No, that's not it. It's this. GC BTC. Thank you. Hold on. Where is that? What's that right? What's that right symbol, guys? Gold. Bitcoin. Where is it? XAU BTC. Thank you. That was it. Uh, go here on the weekly. Check this out. So we looked at Ether, gold. Okay, looking for altcoins, but here's gold, Bitcoin with this thing really in a bullish position. And I haven't looked at this in a while. It might have been a year, and it probably the last time was down there at that bat pattern. And this is one metric in a few where it's really it kind of shows you what's possible. That maybe gold was due even more than Bitcoin. Hate to say it, and now gold's really playing catch up. And you got stuff like that. So I would be just not surprised with the continued performance of gold over Bitcoin for a little while. But how does it get there? Because if gold's going to peak out, or we're going to pause here, hold on, then they're probably both going to do that because this is the best situation. No doubt, guys. This is a crazy run. We're almost near the top here. I would really say this kind of surge move is at like 4,300 is we're getting pretty much to the max limit of how far we can go on this move. Unless something's going to bust. Unless there's something going on, okay, that hasn't fully hit the markets yet, but gold market's aware of it, that will come around and kind of pop other markets. That's about the only thing, you can look at this gold market and just wonder. But take it to the end of the month. Check out, it's the monthly candles on this thing are mind blowing. So, you ride that. We're coming into November, December. These are the seasonal times. Where is this going? Right now, 4,300. We should be pausing, and we literally just hit it. Go to the 5-minute chart. Today's the day. So when I say literally, it's like, yes, this morning, 20 minutes ago. All right. Watch what happens at this 4,300 level. Okay. Because that should be about it for the move. For at least some check back, fill this gap, something. Couple more. Silver, guys, 53. 53, okay, came off. It fell off $1 so far. But the larger thing that we've been talking about, bigger possibilities, I think, with this week's action are now there. We hit the 886. Go to the monthly, actually. So this has been the plan the whole time. 886 was 53.62-ish. 53.61 was the high today. So we're dealing with the 886 now. Take it into the end of the month. 53, say $54 top side. We'll probably come back and tap that a few times. But that's the first limit. I think it's interesting. Both gold and silver hitting major monthly targets. We know gold's been in extreme expansion for a while. Well, this is what we would call full recovery. Okay? Hold on 1 second. Go to silver. Thank you. So 886 there, first stop. Let's hope we get some kind of pullback. Beyond this, though, okay, the obvious targets would be a breakout above all-time highs, then start the larger march where the bat becomes a 1618 crab. That puts you somewhere like, was that 84? 83-ish? you're a few dollars away. I mean, it is this is such an amazing move, but we have patterns looking left. We've talked about this bat pattern for a long time, and getting this segment to go really the breakout from 33, 34 to 886 at 53 was kind of the next step in the process. So let's let that play out. I mean, today's really the day of hitting that first target. Then we get through here. Okay, we're looking for just a longer term swing consolidation. Continuation to the 1618. Now that's going to take time, but could be a big surge. Could be something where over the next 6 months, 12 months, this blast continues. It really is, guys. I can't underestimate this because this is something that people have talked about. The metal bugs have talked about for decades, and this is the move. Like literally this year in the last 6 months has been the move that they've talked about for a long time. Let it pause, yeah, and let me just kind of like throw out a couple of ideas the way to hit this. Like if you don't own any silver or whatever, and you're like, where can I get in on this? Let it do its thing here for a little while. Think of it this way: like we go into like a 30-day observation window, no matter what. 30 days. Can we get something on like a 4 hour? Can we pull back over the next 30 days? Because after that, after some kind of a pause, just go for the continuation. That's that's not going to change. Like this, the only thing that has changed in the last 3 months has been the acceleration of the larger recovery to the 886. We've been talking about that possibility to go to 50 or 48 a long time. Now it's here, and so possibilities are data changed, possibilities change. And now you got to look at silver as something where, okay, it's going to follow gold up. Whatever the bigger story that's going on with silver is absolutely in play. Just we got to wait for the next jump on point. People underestimated silver, without a doubt. I've been telling you guys that the silver play has an industrial demand component, okay, as a monetary component, easy money, kind of hard asset strategy behind it. But the other part was the solar and all the solar farms. And I'll get to solar in a second because that hasn't even played out yet. But this is real. This is part of the consideration, the everyday consideration. You should be looking at gold and silver every day. Because if gold gets to like 5,000 and doesn't, like if we go above 43 right now, we're up $90 today, guys. 90. And silver starts clicking off. And I feel like this $84, $85 target, you should be planning on it. This is kind of the second wave of what started from 2019. And it's going higher. Like a lot of these that have been building break out of their all-time range. We're at recovery range. No, keep going. Silver, definitely. I mean, we've looked at, we said what? CDE, look at that. Now 23 with a long way to go. Like CDE's 23, obvious resistance is like 50. And just break it down on this hourly chart. Again, I talked about that last time of just looking for these pullbacks here and here and here. Really quick, wanted to just highlight and let everybody know the purple diamond indicator. Okay, that's our combo indicator. The combo diamond, I guess. That is available for everybody who's a subscriber, owner. Okay, if you want to be a trial user, you can get that. go to the invite only section and replace the HSI arrows module if you don't have that available. We just released it last week, okay? But check that out. My suggestion with the diamonds are one, go with the trend, and two, use with patterns. All right, especially the futures trading stuff we've been looking at. Couple more. Well, there's that, and there's AG. I mean, CDE right now is a 1 hour deep crab at 23.40, and so get that on the radar, and maybe we'll come back next week because the perfect setup would be this: have a reaction within this trend down to target 2193. Give us some confirmation maybe next week at some point, and then the next jump on point is down here to keep riding. There are a ton of these. It is remarkable. These are truly moving. Here's the other one, First Majestic Silver. This thing is, we've been looking at this for a while. I mean, again, same type of deal. The bearish pattern in uptrends like this is your friend. AG did the same thing there. Target 1 down to 13. Some bullish confirmation at a high level that just, reeks of failure, and it failed and did bless through. It's not, you might say, well, why not? Why do you ignore that pattern? You're looking for, if you're down here at 13 at target 1, 14-ish, even 14, you're trying to play the continuation, it should happen because you're on this kind of a trend. I mean, geez, since September, that's a double. And you got a long way to go, guys. I mean, this surprises me that these have not moved. And look at that. I mean, that's an insane pattern looking left on the monthly. Target 2 is 1740 still. Remarkable. What's going on, you guys? Chat, is it near the 886? No. Doesn't Tesla have solar plus batteries for it? Probably. I don't know. Again, these markets are moving and they're going to continue to move. One of the things that I'm looking at, I haven't really had enough time to dive deep on the small cap silver, but I got to think this small cap silver stuff is absolutely crazy. Here are the pro shares silver. Like if you really want to play an aggressive silver trade, look at this base. This is what they call a super base. All right, with the breakout point above the prior obvious peaks, 67, where this could now just be as, you're looking at that as like 1618, immediate little recovery splash here. That's like 100, something like that. Oh, hold on, bring this up. A lot of these have broken out, and you might say, well, they've gone too far. No, I think what they've just done is smashed major resistance where the recovery ranges and possible kind of expansion targets are much higher. We're not even, look, okay, this was something that came out during the financial crisis, had a huge run, not even at the 382. Now think about that. Silver's all-time new highs, and this thing is not even at an all-time 382, which is 309. That's AGQ, guys. AGQ. Where's the hold on, hourly? Right here. So there's a bunch of these. I think the silver trade right now, like gold, have just moved an insane amount in the last 2 weeks. But longer term, silver's playing catch up to gold. Let's jump to Bitcoin. Okay, because if gold can do this, why is Bitcoin 109? Okay, come back to this really quick. What's it going to take for Bitcoin to do anything? Have to register something on the daily or even a weekly? So, like I said, we're here at this high level of consolidation. We've got a couple of dots, couple of triggers, and we can't break out to do the moon phase. How many times we got to go up there? And if we clearly close below any of this in a substantial way, 1, 2, 3 days under 107, then you you got to just say that's going to take more time. That's going to eat into November, December when we should be going up. And I won't repeat myself about last week either. Like Friday, flash crash thing. This. And again, I think this Coinbase number at 107 does not reflect what most other exchanges were showing. So again, I'm just I think 1 week after that whole debacle or 6 days later, we're not exhibiting the recovery behavior I'd want to see. And so I'm not going to knock it. I'm not going to, say, okay, bail on Bitcoin or this is it. But, whatever's going on here is starting to drag out. And maybe it's not ready to fully be realized yet. So I'll stick with 111, guys. But we could see this thing disappoint. Let's just say that way. I could see this thing disappointing. Just even if it went sideways to down, where we're still dealing with this shark, we're still dealing with maybe more of, say, like this. That's the lower end. There's the upper end with confirmation. So the larger number is like 105 to 120 ish, but it's not making anybody happy. When I think a lot of people were positioned for Bitcoin to do this, at least leverage longs from last week who got crushed, and it's not there. Last signal that I have is an oversold dot that happened after last week's meltdown. So you are at the limit, and if this is just a retracement, that's all it has to be. That's all it's allowed to be. And so Bitcoin here at 108.5. I mean, certainly like 107. I'm going to have an issue under 107. And maybe there is something to be said about what is going on that gold Bitcoin ratio. Let me just bring it back. Here's gold to Bitcoin, guys. XAU, was it XAU BTC or BTC? Yeah, XAU BTC. I find that weekly chart really telling, and it didn't look like beginning of the year there's really not a lot of constructive action. You had some clear confirmation here in January, okay, but didn't go anywhere. I mean, the whole Bitcoin gold Bitcoin ratio XAU Bitcoin, and crazy enough, it still hasn't busted out of that prior support at 4 cents. It's really like 4%, but it's like this. There's the downtrend getting busted. There's confirmation for the first time. And we haven't started moving. It was late August. This is really the first move in here. Kind of tells you that there's some interesting things brewing, possibilities, morning leaning more towards gold, less towards Bitcoin. What's going on? What's up, Greg? Welcome. Everybody else, welcome. How's it going? So be aware of that. I know maybe a lot of people that are Bitcoin maxis. You guys have this kind of feud, Peter Schiff versus Michael Saylor kind of a thing. I just want to see the charts, and this is a kind of a impressive whole bottoming formation. I mean, even check this. So you've got something in real development, and it's hasn't in reality it hasn't started to move yet. I'm blown away. Quick, let's look at the total crypto market cap, guys. I know we could just look at the Bitcoin market cap but overall, plus Ethereum, you're gonna have to look at Ethereum in relation to that big pattern and start to really lean on it. Right now, there's a total crypto market cap. That's not the kind of follow through bar you want to see down here. Remember, I said this last week, guys, that the one thing for the whatever this candle is, it really is going to matter whether we decide to test the wick area or we decide to test the body. And this is looking like a wick test. And that's where things can start leaking, start costing you time and money. So this is still super early. I mean, we're okay. We're 10% off the high, the all-time peak high that happened. It was 10 days ago. I'm more wondering, is that it, and are we going to have some kind of retest off of March? Is that what's going on here? We go to say 382 minimum because we're not rebounding flat out. It's like a one bar consideration. You have that crazy wacky throwdown move. All right, there you're already there at the 50. Or another way to look at it is you have this crazy throwdown move, and then you have some kind of B point. Is that already developing? Are we having this kind of rejection up here against this bar? I've seen that a lot. I know it's kind of tricky to just project that forward, but last week's candle is going to be absolutely essential. And if you throw this to the right, 30 days. Okay, even from here, the daily. It's a better way to look at that. We're in a full 30-day window post this. And what is it? Talk to me, really talk to me by early November. So a lot of work to do. I think people are going to be disappointed, and I just want to be completely upfront with that. Okay, your people are just on waiting for this stuff to go, and it didn't go, and it's not going. If anything, it's saying I want to go sideways more. I've got some patterns. I mean, we do have some patterns, a lot like Bitcoin, but the total daily chart adhering more to the shark. Should we anticipate an eventual target one at 311 before anything else? Kind of looks like it. I mean, almost got there last week. So not really constructive, guys. I mean, you're 5 6 days post, and yeah, you've got some confirmation here. I just think you're going to pay. We're gonna have to hit some targets. That's it. I'm gonna have to see a T1 get hit and tagged, and at best we probably stay in this range and kind of go sideways until it gets clear enough. So what's that mean? November? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, 105. Sorry about that. 105 maybe, but I think it's still 111, 107 max, and if it's not 107, here on there's the shark for Bitcoin. It almost reminds me it's actually even more drawn out. But we had that crab pattern a year ago, back in November, And it took, what's that, 4 months before it really started rolling over. And we did tag target one. And to me, if we're going to just embrace how the patterns lay this out, this is a possibility. It's still, unfortunately, it's a sloppy, but it's still a possibility. And I think we've given this enough time where I'm not that far off on my targets. We never got the breakout above 124, 125, whatever. I really thought 124.01. We were 125.5, 125.6, but we didn't close above it. We didn't do any kind of weekly, monthly, whatever. And so it's just probably going to take more time, which is, there you go again. Meanwhile, other stuff is not. You have other things that just really have disappointed. And I know a lot of people were looking for. I was looking for something in Cardano. Would we get another opportunity? It was. I think it. I talked about this Gartley getting a Type 2. All right, and that's on Coinbase. Now, I want to say this for. We had talked about a couple things. We have a shark. We've got lots of patterns. And I know I said this exact phrase. We were here where your XA was like 39, and then it was 55, and then I was saying, like 67 or 70-ish or whatever. But Coinbase is kind of hiding a reality here where, unfortunately, Cardano traded. It literally hit 30 cents. It retested all of these patterns down here. So and I don't, I have lots of questions. I I have lots of questions on. Hold on, they're controlling me. There you go. Here, they're Binance. Lots of questions on. Okay, if those are real trades, and apparently they were on just about every other. And if that was a Type 2, then whether it happened at 30 cents or 55 or 67, where's the confirmation? And that's my only consideration going forward. If I'm going to excuse what happened last week, then I would have to say, okay, wherever that confirmation is, which is over here, then I should be seeing some real development. Like I should see price action, individual bullish candles. I should see indicators starting to turn up. Things like this above 50 levels, and they're not there, guys. This is something maybe it's an overlooked part of the process, but again, you hit a zone, you get confirmation, whatever. But what's this doing right there? Are we under 50 or above 50? We're under 50. And that's Cardano daily. So as long as that's under 50, no thanks. Let it go. Let it go, because I think it could leak lower. That's just whatever Coinbase is trying to do and soften the blow of how those charts look like. Fact remains that happened. Bitcoin was 102. They kind of broke. Yeah. So I'm really saying that Bitcoin, if it takes more time, expect to be your disappointment to continue. Ethereum, guys, I really think Ethereum now you have to embrace the crab pattern here. All right, and then the fact that it's just going through the 1-2. And now we did the type 1 on the crab pattern. That was 3,500, 3,491. And I said this, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the nicest formation because you were grabbing from here, but the other alignments were there. Sometimes I refer to that as an alignment pattern because the measures are there, the ABCD's there, a 3618, da da da. But 4,700 was it, and now we're squeeze 4,700 to 3,490. You put in a bat pattern and then you did a type 1 reaction. It's a lot of up and down, but you still have to go lower to resolve this, and that's back at 35. You're 39.45 now. I said to you guys when it popped and it was almost at all-time highs, and I was like, yeah, FOMO's real, but you're going to have to wait for some kind of retracement. And the retracement that popped up was this target one. That's at 34.91. So type 1 crab, yes. But what happened? You have another bullish crab, a bullish bat, but now that's got to do a 1-2. So I still say lower, come into the zone, and give us some confirmation. It's not there yet. This turnaround thing that's supposed to take shape in October and November is not there. And it got busted last week. So what do we got? 30 days? I always felt that this whole cycle would be over by the end of January at the latest. I thought we could repeat what we did in November and then have most of it done by December or Thanksgiving, even like last year. Just the further we go every day now, the deeper we cut into that scenario. So watch that. That's you can't break that framework. So I would just looking at Ethereum, not I would take another look at 35, but still done for now. And then here's Solana, guys, that back at 190 and 212. We had a quick, or 227 was the quick retest here. This is another one. I said this last week. I think you got to be done with it. In terms of the pattern, in terms of what's going on here, it's undeniable. Type 1, type 2. Confirmation's not coming in the best place where I want to see it. Okay, really not. I wish the confirmation. I wish we'd get type 2 and then confirmation. But there's enough here that's saying, okay, and I want to be clear. I'm not saying end of the world, but I'm saying a much deeper retracement than 190. I think you could see target 1 retracement like 165 pretty easily on Solana. And it's certainly not, if it was going to fail the pattern or go for the hop level, we'd be higher. We would be higher. And the minimum thing I would look for is target objective or deep oversold. Hit the target or get counter HSI, and that's a long way to go on the weekly chart. So you guys heard it here. Although I said that last week, 212, 227, tagging that again and then rejecting with that candle. Ugh. The other thing is the butterfly daily kind of stringing a couple patterns up here. You have target 2s at like 154. All right, even some prior stuff at like 146. It's got like 145, 150 written all over it. Yeah. BTC getting a bottom. I hope it gets a bottom. Again, I'm watching it, but I don't think anything that's going to yield uh, anything constructive until we saw. Do we have any patterns? Again, give me a fresh pattern or give me a type 2 pattern on like the 4 hour. We have some things on the daily where you're trying to put in some dots, but nothing, great. Couple of prior patterns back here were just, dominating, getting dominated by these two structures, which is the deep crab from July, where target 1 is 11,000. Target 2 is 106. That's looming, unfortunately. 106 is out there. And that's still kind of a looping, relevant, looming harmonic objective that could get tagged. But everyone else is looking at the whole 90 days, the whole summer with this kind of a thing, saying where are we going? We did get a diamond, which is really something. We just laid that out. Oh, let me get the other indicator up. But hold on. Oh, look at that. Oh, I got to talk about these quantum stocks. Look at that D wave pattern right there. Look at that Gartley at 39.95, guys. I'll get to that in a second. Let me get back to Bitcoin because there's lots of stocks and there's lots of other markets raging, putting in patterns left and right. That's probably the most profound thing is you've got Bitcoin just sideways here for the last 100 days, and you got tech stocks, specialty tech, quantum, semis, just ripping. Yeah, this is your zone, guys. And again, that's this deep crab is a possibility. Target two on that deep crab. That's a remaining possibility here, as you don't do a heck of a lot in terms of uh, price discovery. We should already be at 130,000, and we're not. If we were gonna tag 155 by Thanksgiving or Christmas, we'd be above all-time highs. So, again, get this. This is the best thing I'm looking for Bitcoin, which is, you guys know, the 111 number. We're 108, 109 currently, but we literally need now not one, but two green days. That's the other thing. Two green bars. So the action has to get bullish. It's not going to be crazy. Like, again, I'm not looking for explosion, but build me some green bars like we did back in early September. A steady down into early September, and then 3, 4 days, 5 days. That's kind of what you're looking for over the next week. And it's here. But it is here. It's literally here. I mean, it's right here. Other than that, guys, there's not much I can offer on a lot of these other S coins, T coins. I mentioned this the last few sessions, okay, of something like FET AI. All right, look at this. We're looking at this at 60 cents, saying, okay, can we check back that HSI arrow? And that was like 36. It was at 57. It went to 11 cents on that flash crash. There's no dot and nothing here. We were, like I said, we were just starting to look. I didn't do anything with this, and it looks about as bad as it could be. And even if you thought, well, hey, that's capitulation right there, I would still need to see two green bars before I would even touch it. Crazy thing is we got a type 2 all the way here. We retested this pattern from 2022 on that flash crash. But that means this is valid territory. So FET is 30. If that went under 20 again, I would not be surprised. Okay, this is not opportunity, is what I'm saying. Beautiful pattern, no confirmation, and pretty much the confirmation thing we were looking for failed. It absolutely failed. It's just one example. Again, the other example, and I'm going to. So here's been my evolution. Okay. Doge is probably where really I got my fill at first. I won't get into that. But I've always had a lingering, like, okay, I don't want to catch the next time Doge does a 30x or whatever for me. And I've taken shots, made mistakes, caught some moves, other moves, no. But what I'm seeing though over the following couple of years is that we haven't made progress to new highs. And here, let me get the all-time chart. And the further we go, what it seems like this thing is doing. Oh wait, I'll come to that in a second. But um, just kind of working out what this longer term recovery has been. I've been thinking, hey, maybe Doge comes back on a like this, retest the uptrend, and maybe something's trying to develop here. But that was 9 cents at the low, guys, and there was nothing really there supporting it. As Doge went to 15 or even 12 cents, no one really stepped in until it was under 10. And I would have to say, you've got all this other stuff here where I just, it's not over. It's not over. And if there was a shakeout, we'd be looking at a green bar. Like you wouldn't be looking back. So that's kind of what's at stake on a lot of these. Certain crypto, I think, are going to be safe. I think and you're looking at the top 10. I think Binance Coin is due for a correction. A big, huge move. Maybe we go 382, but longer term, I think Binance Coin will just continue its long-term uptrend. It's probably done for now, but other things like Doge, Cardano, they have long-term trends at stake. Absolutely, they have. What's at stake is them breaking down and losing the recovery structure that they started. I would say 2 years ago. I mean, Cardano for me has already kind of broken it, and Cardano is, at this point, I think 30 cents for Cardano. It's kind of like this funky ABCD 113, putting together the dots there at the 886 number. And so here's why I say that. If I'm right about what Cardano is doing, guys, and we accept that it's the 1-2 framework, well, this big wick was the 886 reaction. All right, and it's a bitch because I haven't been crazy on Cardano since really the last test at 92, but I just feel like I should have caught this. I should have caught that this thing had more trouble than not. Where 55 cents was probably what this thing had to do. But if that's the type 1 on Cardano, then we have to come back for a type 2. Crazy? Is that crazy or not? But I think that's really the structure that's here. That is the type of flash crash that it gave you. That okay, real trades, it really did bump off the 886. But what would that be? A 886 reaction. And then go back and retest. And so there's a couple of these those are the kind of developments you should look at. If we didn't have this flash crash and we were just kind of consolidating at 65 cents with a kind of dot here and everything, I would say that might be ready to go again. But I don't know, the whole thing got, for me, on a lot of these, destroyed. Kind of the price integrity of like accepting that that's a real low, that's a real low, these are real lows back here. They're not. They're paper thin. Hate to say it, but that's the reality. That's really what happened. And again, we can ignore it. Maybe it reverses and you never look back. I don't think so. And you got to distinguish what's what. Uh, so Cardano and talked about Solana, guys. Talked about Doge. Most of the big ones here. XRP. That's another one where what's it going to do? I think longer term, sure, probably is an asset class in the crypto space for a long time. But where is it going now? And this is the exact thing that I talked about on Doge. And this, I'm kind of surprised, but we've had this kind of thing last or all in the beginning of the year, first half of the year. We talked about zero structure, a bunch of confirmation around $2, 210. Well, this is the first daily pattern, big daily pattern since the bearish crab, the one and the two, which is this is now a type one, and we're 4 days into it. And what are we going to do? The return move? And that's a possibility. XRP 239 at the moment, but target one was 250 and it got rejected. Is that what's happening? What's that look like? So for me, again, I'm going to have to really think about what to do here longer term. That's not a scenario I was looking for. In fact, I was looking for this thing to be back above 3, pretty much off of here, off of this 280, 270 level. The whole thing, just the set of data changed. It really is something. What's up, Matt? Can T1, which never reached the hop, reach it on a T2 retest? Yes. Yeah, and that's also if you're going to do a retest. If we know that's a reaction, which it is, then are we already on the return phase? Yeah, likely. And then do I want to ride that? Do I want to ride that? Hmm. Yeah. Cubic held up. Okay, just for you, my man. I mean, but is it holding up in terms of like just still at the same price or just sideways grind? Yeah, I see that it held up, but you're right back at lows. And this is what I guess maybe more referring to. Are we moving or are we going to go sideways? I mean, for not only down, I mean, again, no one's really thinking it could crypto correct. I'm just saying, hey, it looks like this thing just doesn't want to do much for still. We're range bound. We're not doing anything impressive. So what's the catalyst? I don't know. Here, Oracle, guys. It pops. This popped up. It's up 16. I've been buying this dot right here, and that's another one. Look, this is going to win. If I had crypto that looked like this, and crypto should be looking like this, I'd say let's go. But it's not there. Oracle's up 17, 1650 now. 320. That's great. And this is the difference. 886, 1618. That's just how I'm treating it. Which is like 330, 340, and then run to 400. But that's running because I know, look at the uptrend versus most of crypto, which is not, was supposed to go. No, no thanks. And even stuff like, I'm just going to say this before we get out of here, the crypto talk. Ethereum Classic. I think, crypto proof of work. Hold on. Okay. Big long-term patterns at 19, 1850. And had, great weekly stuff. All right, look what happened. Zero development, and then came all the way back, retested. No dot here, but we will get a dot soon. But you've done nothing. You're back where even after the rebound, forget the washout, the fake out. We're back at 16 at lows all time. I mean, I don't. I said let's look at this thing back at 20 or even 19, and it just collapsed. It just collapsed on the retest. I'd need to see like a dot, a diamond, what have you, and the indicators are still pointing down. There's zero. There's just nothing in there to jump on. Meanwhile, something like Oracle, there you go. I mean, look, Oracle just jumped 2 points. Oracle now up 18. I mean, go. Let's go. 100, I mean, listen, even if you guys got like 10, 20 shares of that, this is a great position. And ride that trending move up to the 400 targets. This stuff is moving. The other stuff is not moving. Couple more. What do you guys? Let's get out of the crypto here and let me kind of circle back on some serious stock plays. I mean, things really moving. Monero. I got to bring up Zcash. Is the weekly is like that? Okay, that's a crypto that is trending. Absolutely. You've made progress in the last year. Fantastic. And again, I think that's something where you can get into it. All right, couple of patterns on the daily here. You're overbought at the moment, but that is different from most crypto. But that's kind of the thing you want. Look, steady progression of uptrend. There's a nice bullish pattern, 233. And ride that. I mean, kind of like Zcash. What's going on with Zcash? All right, hit 300. Now it's all the way back down. Was it going to crash all the way back to 20? I don't know. It's kind of that's a good idea. I've just really been monitoring this. Is this like a 1 week ripping and then dump? Well, no, at the 382, which is right there. $200, guys. Let's talk to me at $200. See what happens there. But the other one was Dash, guys. I'm looking at it. But yeah, that did the move. Was it Dash or Compound? Maybe it was Dash. Maybe Compound. Dash already ran. I guess not, because Compound dropped. Yeah, I don't know. The Zcash probably is going to come back for the 382. We're not in that environment. That's the problem. And I love to bring this one back up. It's crypto.com. That did a full type 2, and this is another example. I'm done. I didn't do anything with this, and I was looking at this saying, "Hey, maybe this is finally going to bust the weekly range and do something." Nope. And the way that to come around on this is like this. Is there a pattern there? Yeah, it did this. It did a really unusual type 2 all the way back down. If I wanted to buy that, I would still need confirmation after the fact. And that's down here. That's down here. That's part of what I'm getting at with all of this. If we're already had these unexpected type 2s develop, then we're going to need confirmation before you can even assume that anything's a go again. Couple more. That's my mouse. Yeah, my mouse is a gun. Let's get to some of those. Yeah, some of those miners, like Hive. I mean, Iron's already gone. I think a lot of these did massive moves where you're getting a little bit of a pullback. Hive is a diamond here. It's just, what does that mean? It's just overbought. Even if you weren't looking at the indicator, look, we're in a 5-day pause after a double, almost triple run in the last 90 days. But pull it back on the weekly. Again, you've got larger considerations probably developing. Like, look, let it go through. You have weekly 1 and 2. All right, it did the big surge. I'm not. This is FOMO to try to capture here, but let it come back in. Get some kind of pullback, oversold, 4 hour, whatever. I mean, again, you got stuff like that, and then you got stuff like Iron, which is, I think that's already gone full 1618 all time. Amazing. Like here, that was earlier? No, geez, 1618 was there. Just that perspective, like there. Okay, that's the level. Can something more happen? Yeah, beyond 53, 54. And did you get to 2618? You did. You tagged 2618 at 73, guys. Amazing. Like 73 was it. So let it come back. 2618. Do it like this. Do the 382. Again, for now, I would look at that as pretty much it. 382 is back at 45. But that's a hell of a move. I mean, again, Clean Spark is still the one I think has got, the most breakout potential. Pattern looking left where you can get to full recovery. Obvious resistance point 24, 2886, 24 right there. These have moved a lot. I mean, it doubled. It's doubled since July. So we're going to have to let that come back. But I like that long-term chart. It was great progress after that downtrend. And you go to something like this, this is what you're really dealing with. It's a great chart. What was the other one? Yeah, I mean, Mara. Can these have a little pullback here? Mara at 20. Yeah, I would look at. Didn't we look at this last time? It was maybe Mara or Riot. Just hitting some bearish patterns, and again, I wouldn't. I would not get too over the skis on it of looking at that as anything other than, can you get a reaction? You're 2079. A normal type 1 retest at like 17 would probably be great. And that would be your next jump on point, much like August was down there at 15. Where we were there with Mara. Riot had already busted out. But Clean Spark and Mara back in August, that's what we were looking at. Riot, okay. Amazing. 7 to 23. Let it come back down. Yeah, retracement mode. This is going to be next week. I think next week we'll look at these will be done, their retracements, and let's go. BT. Yeah, under 4. Under 4. I talked about that. 408 was XA level. You're 380. And it's all about the weekly here. All right. And we literally just started that this week. You're looking for stuff here. I said this could even trade as low as 3, and I'll still say that. But you're playing this. Start it under 4 down here, and you're looking for this to get to target 1 minimum. It is still a type 2. So again, this stuff is time, guys. I don't think it's. You've seen how long that other stuff took. Like Clean Spark took a while. Took half the year to get out of to break out and do its move, and the same can be said here. But I would be looking down in here because you're putting in these higher lows, 1, 2, and 3 longer term. Blockchain is who's that? What's up, Mr. Bastian? Blockchain backer is really bearish on the crypto market. I'm going to use the word disappointing. I think people are going to be disappointed, and I don't want to be disappointed. Flat out. Flat out. Not necessarily. Even if you got a healthy correction, whatever. I still say it's not doing what everyone thought it would do at this point. A couple more. You guys want Rivian. Why do you want Rivian? Because look at the chart. I think it's maybe a great question. When you got things that are really rocking, why, is this really an asset you think is going to appreciate immediately? 90 days, next 30 days? Or is there more development required? I would say there's much more development required in a market like this. And I'm not knocking the idea because, all right, it's oversold, buy it when it's down kind of a thing, but it's not trending. And this is going to be the most important concept you guys really bring to the market over the next year. Dealing with trending markets, buying stuff, buying patterns on retracement, within an uptrend. Absolutely. Couple more. GNRC, I know what that looks like. And it looks like probably the, no, Generac. What did these guys do here? Did they reverse split? Huh. Oh, I was sorry. I was thinking about something else. I was thinking about GameStop. Generac, better, not under a downtrend. This, if it could get above 200, 210, yeah, we could really be doing something. There was something here though. I think I'm confusing this with something else. Really just wait for oversold. I like solar, guys. I think the solar trade and the pattern on tan is the best one to play. 48 now. We've been talking about this since 30. And I think it's deep, still deep oversold where you recover to 67. I'll bring that up once a week for the next 6 months because that's something that has broken out. You're starting a new trend, obvious target. Was it end phase that was the same in that category? Hold on. Maybe it was end phase. The green energy, but look at end phase here. I mean, amazing pattern. All at 31 bucks. I think that was the pattern, but still no confirmation down here. Monitor it. I mean, again, this is nothing there yet, but hey, if we could get a turn up here, a week or two to break above the 50 level, yeah. I mean, that's a big pattern, but it's way early in that whole process. And that's like the meta planet, right? Meta planet. What's that? MTP. I showed that last time. It's meta planet. Come on. MTPL F. All right. Still not ready, but be aware of it. Again, that might drop to 84 cents. The pattern completed basically at 460. Confirmation didn't even start until 345. And what's it doing this week? Straight down. do nothing with it yet. It's a great example of just kind of stepping back from a ugly pattern or an ugly completion. Be aware of that. A couple others. DDD, 3D printer, 3D systems. Oh, yeah. Remember this? Thanks for bringing that back up. Boy, I wish I should have been paying attention back in July, right? Deep crab down here, but still, that could be another one. You really want to get, we need a higher low here. Initial, that's still the new low. So reaction, you're hitting the dot. You're gonna have to retrace, but there's patterns looking left. I don't know. I know a bunch of these type of old. These are the old ones. 10 years ago, they were high flyers and they got crushed. What is that? Isn't there? Yeah, I thought there was a pattern down here. Look, the monthly chart. But I can't really. There's nothing really to jump on there. I mean, it could end up being a turnaround play. You have to just go on the daily, maybe take shots, but I don't, you could be sideways for a while. Not bad. I mean, look, I could easily say, yeah, monster home run type 2. It'll go to target 2. No, it's a dud. It's a dud because of the amount of time it's taken. Yeah, I think there's, again, guys, I think there's better stuff. Low floaters definitely have place and time, but not everything. Rum is one I do like. Rum, I'm starting that because we're here. Talked about that last time. Under 785. Not not gonna blast anytime soon, but you are hitting the levels where if I wanted a window to buy it, where you have signals, it's right here. 785 was the minimum number, and it's kind of like a back test of this support. Maybe as low as 56. There's still a little space there at, oh, I don't know, 50. But you're there. It's just what it will take for this to materialize is weeks. So, again, we're not going to blast up anytime soon, and earnings aren't for another month. But positioning in here, good idea. Start slowly. I think GME was the one I was about to complain before you brought that up. So no offense to you, Mr. Sultan. GME, I forget what the other one I was talking about, but GME's just been another one where people are pile hopium into that, and it's 25 dollars forever. Can't really do much. I don't know why, and for strange reasons. Longer term, obvious support levels are like $20, but I don't. Have you done anything? You almost have a higher low, but seriously, you'd have to be above 38, 39 before anything major could happen. And I guess I sideways money is really painful. So, like sitting in something like this, and it really doesn't move. Again, I need to see a reason. I wouldn't, it's not trending, flat out. It's not a trending asset. We want trending assets in this market. Yeah. Thinking about shorting it to 15. I mean, maybe. But I think there's better action in general. Shorting, or going long. You know, there's patterns down at 18, $17, but you know, again, just think there's better action across the board. Quick look here. You know, Nasdaq right now, guys. You know, we're down 70. Seems like a lot more. I look, 5 minute chart. There you go. Where are we at? Oh well, we couldn't bust through that 886. But where is? Hold on. Sorry, 1 second. It is all right. It's about here. So Nasdaq, we're halfway through October, guys. Are we going to have a deeper correction or not? You know, we're going to do some kind of final October swoon. You got about another week. Maybe if this thing breaks down, all right, and I'm any retracement, I'm still going to say look for the oversold trigger. Okay, well, we came in here and go to the hourly. On Tuesday, we talked about this bat pattern. We talked about this support on the hourly at like 24.8. Okay, also talked about why this bat 1 and 2 was done. So we're going to continue and keep going. It's from here. Now, what happened this morning? We got oversold and we couldn't get through that hourly dot. So levels and immediate levels is like 28.65 to 25.05. And I say we probably stay in that range as we continue to climb. I don't think we're going to take out these October lows. I really think the retest from September and then there, okay, we're looking for or should be expecting some kind of launch point to get to the end of the year. The target still 26.5. 26.5. I know it seems like a lot. I won't even do the it's the 1618. But we're looking for this to basically finish what started September, bang, pattern on the top side, bang, and resume the uptrend. So that's it. Yeah. We got the other thing we have is the monthly close, yes, but look at the monthly candle. Again, coming in here, today's the 16th. We got 2 more weeks. I think a lot can happen. You're here. Look, there's the monthly candle. Almost a doji, a perfect doji as is, but again, 2 more weeks before anything. And oh, this is the other thing, the 1618. This is the plan for, I would say, early January. It's like this. I talked about last time. I was like, why do I think? Yeah, it's 20. I guess it is 26.9. That's the 1618. Maybe call it 27 of the big April swoosh. So again, I'm not any retracement guys. Look for it as an opportunity. The hourly time frame, yeah, probably still in this uptrend. But I am thinking of like where does this October November thing move run? The 4 hour time frame is another high level dot. And that's the other reason, the last several that we've really pinpointed. Again, you go back to June, we had that. That was the summer rally. I mean, a rager. And then we had this in August and September. And that's the fourth one in 4 months. Should be holding. And look at it like this. Okay. We had this big run up, huge move. And I know back in August, it was kind of crazy. People were looking for a deeper retracement, but we got these counter HSI dots. And that move off of August into September was just straight up, a lot like the June move. So get us another one starting from here. Yeah, again, I just think we continue to print these dots. My target, I hear you. Who said that? Julian says trees don't grow to the sky. I hear that. But if we're looking for that final year run to target, it builds like this. It stays within that uptrend, and we continue to go higher until we get to the weekly targets. It's I this has been my premise all summer long, and I'll leave it with that. That continues to be what I'm looking for to get up to target, which is I've been saying 26.5, guys. Maybe it's a little higher of the 1618, but that's still the strategy into June. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it there. Listen, monitor Bitcoin over the weekend. Under 107, I'm going to say, yeah, probably a deeper retracement. Yeah, you're 108 right now. Again, that's my only concern of all the markets. I think gold's gone too far for now. But if Bitcoin breaks down here, then I'm just going to step aside on it and say you're going to probably need until November, get to the first week in November before you can look for anything to turn around. It's probably a date thing that we're 2 weeks early. Either way, no biggie. I don't think it's a biggie for Bitcoin, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to do a dip down here lower. All right. Appreciate it, guys. Listen, Tuesday, I just want everybody to know on Tuesday, I will announce a session that we're going to do probably the second week in November. I think it's going to be, we will do it during this session, and it's going to probably be November 6th. I'll have more details. We're going to just do a live session, but we will do kind of a specialty strategy session around the software, around the dot, and oh yeah, okay, here's the last thing. So little teaser for you guys. So then, and bring in, I hope to have this ready next week, is the pattern profiler. And what's the best way to use that? Give it a second, it's loading. The pattern profiler will do a scan of all the statistics. Hold on. Of all patterns. There you go. There it is. Great. On the time frame that you specify. So again, I don't have any optimization built into this, but you guys can see. Hold on, let me bring this up. There you go. You can. I've showed this before, but you can see what that looks like. Okay, but I'll be doing more on that, how to look at that. I also think it has a lot to do with trend identification. More on that to come. You should have the dot. Everybody who does have the dot. And if you don't have the dot and want to get the trial, you can get the dot with that. So, okay, here, send your HPC username for TradingView to hpc@sr-analyst.com. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you on Tuesday, same time. Have a great one, and as always, go get them.